Tonight, top Democrats are demanding Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito recuse himself from cases related to January 6th after the New York Times published this photo showing an American flag flying upside down at his home. The picture reportedly taken just over a week after the Capitol attack. An upside-down flag is meant to signal distress and has been used as a sign of protest by both the left and right. But some of Alito's neighbors tell the Times they were alarmed because it was the symbol adopted by some Trump supporters during the Capitol riot, falsely claiming President Biden stole the election. Alito confirming the photo, telling the Times, "I had no involvement whatsoever in the flying of the flag. It was briefly placed by Mrs. Alito in response to a neighbor's use of objectionable and personally insulting language on yard signs." According to the Times, a neighbor said the flag was there for several days, and that Alito's wife, Martha Ann, was in dispute with another homeowner who displayed an anti-Trump sign with an expletive, which offended Martha Ann Alito, leading to an escalating clash between her and that neighbor. Tonight, Democratic Senator Dick Durbin saying the flag creates the appearance of bias, demanding Alito recuse himself from upcoming cases involving January 6th, including former President Trump's presidential immunity case, where he's accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election results.
He is, more than willing to wear his partisan colors on his sleeve, or in this case, on the flagpole.
A court spokesperson did not respond to NBC News' request for comment.
And Peter, there's also a headline tonight about an offer from NBC News and Telemundo to host a presidential debate.
Lester, that's right. President Trump today posted that he has accepted that offer, that he wants to do additional debates with President Biden. But the Biden campaign quickly declined this evening. A senior advisor telling us the debate about debates is over, that the president has already committed to doing two. Lester.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.